just wanted to go back to what you were saying about compliance before and how you had to, I guess, interpret it for the common person. How did you find that across the country? Like, did every council have a different interpretation, or was everyone sort of interpreted it exactly the same, or is it quite different?
That, it's just amazing. When we had a population of about 3 million people, we had 122 city, borough or district councils for the nation, right? And that all got merged and purged and amalgamated around the late 80s. So then we went down to 74, and now we've got, in the 60s, and we've got private building consent authorities as well, and Kāinga Ora. So if you look at all of that, and again, we're talking about risk profile. If we had just one agency with 64 different officers, would we get consistency of interpretation, right? Even as a big agency, if they all reported to the same person. And even so, you'd have to have ongoing training, mentoring, coaching, and disciplining around narrowing that interpretation. So the rules would have to be very confined and very specific and very prescriptive to get that outcome. We live in an environment where the Building Code of New Zealand has been a performance-based one since 1992. So that means you can submit any kind of application you like and have it individually case-by-case assessed. So it's not like saying, no, you can't have that there, it's got to be 1 metre. You could argue, well, what about 1.2 or 900? There's a bit of wriggle there. But what's happened in my career watching this over this time is we've got worse rather than better, and that's because of the risk that local government carry. Most people don't realise that, liability and risk sits with the local authority because they can't get out of it. It's called joint and several liability. So if a building goes down in some way, people go, the developer, the builder, whoever. Actually, the bottom line with the deep pockets of the councils, and they've been hammered for the last 25 years. So a lot of what they look at is through perhaps legal eyes of going, what's the risk of us signing this off or not signing this off? And so their interpretations have become very localised based on the risk in front of them. And a good example might be, in the 90s, around the South Island, what would they have worried so much about earthquake-prone buildings? They would have pointed to Wellington and said, you're going to be the one to be more attended to that. What would in the past people were, worried about flood-prone areas when, you look at some areas and go, that always rains heavily in that west coast of the South Island, let's say, so they would be more conscious of it. So as events happen, and the reveal around our little shaky island and how narrow it is for the climate to come across it and back again, people change their minds about what's allowable. Then you get down to the individual officer, and that's where I find it fun. Between you and I, you might bungee jump and I go, that's not for me, but I might speak to a crowd of 5,000 people and you go, that's not for me. So my risk appetite's different from yours. So when we're looking at those words, and what we're to do is say a building inspector you might go, I don't see any problem with that, and I go, I can see some risk. So if I'm teaching you, I'm loading up you not just with fact, but I'm loading you with my views and values and risk appetite. And so, look, honestly, it's challenging. If you're in the building industry, it could be very frustrating to go, hold on, that council lets me do this, you don't. Or the same looking building from the same council, you said yes, go for it. And the second time I put something similar in the same suburb, you gave me 10 requests for further information. Which is it?